Here's today's focus for you now, and imagine if the town or village where you were living was emptying, people gradually moving away. Well, that is what is happening in Latvia, where it's thought up to 400 villages are now on the verge of disappearing altogether. In fact, the chairman of the European Latvians Association recently said, and I quote here for you, "We have a joke that in 2030 the last Latvian can switch off the lights at Riga airport." So far, around 10% of the 2 million population have left to find work, and they're mostly the young. Well, François Katz and Maie and Yanis Lazans found the government is finally beginning to take the problem seriously.
We are in Malta, in eastern Latvia, not far from the Russian border. It is a poor region, hit hard by the 2008 financial crisis, unemployment and budget cuts. The Karolyalis family hasn't been spared the hardship. In order to be able to feed the children she brought up alone, Marita, like many others, went to work in England. She returns to her hometown 3 times a year to spend some time with her sons.
I had problems all the time. I have 2 children, I had a low salary and I couldn't go anywhere as the kids were too little. Then you get so tired of that and start to understand you need something more. That's why I decided to go away.
In Birmingham, Marita earns about €1,000 a month in a packing plant. It is enough money to live there and support her family in her own country. Meanwhile, her mother is caring for her children in a town that is gradually emptying.
There's no one here anymore. Older people are dying, and younger ones have left. It's not a town anymore.
Like Marita, more than 1/3 of Malta's inhabitants left in order to escape the poverty and unemployment. The entire country has suffered from the exodus. Latvia has lost 13% of its population over the past decade. Soon, more than 400 villages will be wiped off the map. And it is mostly young adults who leave to try their luck abroad. We meet Alex in a private recruitment agency in Riga. Each year, as spring approaches, he searches for a new seasonal job. This time he will head off to a plant nursery in the Netherlands. For him, expatriation is not a choice.
It's really difficult. That's because all family here, your mother, your father here, and I don't know how to explain. Sometimes you cry, but it's life. We must save some money over there and make some money.
Latvia has returned to growth and reduced its deficit through drastic austerity measures, but Latvians are still paying the price and continue to leave the country. The Latvian government is now preparing a repatriation programme to facilitate the return of about 80,000 people over the next 10 years. But according to this expert at the International Office for Migration in Riga, the authorities haven't yet grasped the urgency of the situation.
One might think, okay, it's pretty good. They are feeding their families elsewhere, fine, assuming that after the crisis is over, all of them are coming back, but the reality is the other way around. The more years someone is staying or working abroad, less possibility that they will return ever.
And the exodus shows no signs of stopping. According to a recent survey, nearly half of all Latvians are considering leaving the country.
Well, Yanis joins us now from Riga. It's 5 years, isn't it, since the start of the economic crisis, of course. What have been the economic consequences, would you say, of this exodus?
Well, yes, as you heard in the report, official data say about 13% of Latvia's population has recently left the country, and that's only official data. According to unofficial numbers, are much higher. It's even up to 20%. So it's definitely leaving an impact on society and on the economy. For the most part, it's educated people in their 20s and 30s. So it's a workforce who is leaving, and national economy feel the consequences straight away. Local businessmen even complain that they can't find enough professionals in specific areas. People have gone to work in UK and Ireland, and Latvian employers are not able to offer them the same salary. That is why they, for example, now thinking and deciding to employ workers from another ex-Soviet Union countries. The large-scale immigration also creates tension on the social budget. For example, one taxpayer now provides pensions for almost 4 pensioners, and the state needs to find a solution for that in long term because it's not sustainable, and with the general aging problems, situation is getting only worse. But there are some positive factors as well, as mentioned. Due to emigration, we have much lower unemployment, and there's less low-income families who live on the social benefits.
We did hear a little bit in the report, didn't we, about what the government's doing to try and stop this exodus, but tell us a little bit more.
Yes, Latvian officials now working at the major re-immigration plan. As mentioned earlier, in 10 years, government plans to return home about 80,000 people. This plan, though, provides practical help to those who currently live outside the country and are planning to return. Re-immigration plan will have a program that helps finding jobs in Latvia again, to find an apartment, to set up children in school. They are, for example, promoting employers to use Skype for job interviews so that people can get an offer while being abroad instead of coming here and realizing that there's no offer yet.
That's not going to actually be enough to get people to come back home, though, is it?
Experts doubt if the plan will really motivate people to return, as the overall living standards in Latvia remain the same. And living standards are one of the most often mentioned reasons why people are leaving. The latest data published recently show that even after the crisis in 2011, about 37,000 people might have left the country. This amount is not as high as in times of crisis, and maybe don't sound high for France or Germany, but for the small Baltic country, it's a very big number. And therefore, expert warns before motivating re-immigration, government should think about stopping immigration. It means more support to local job market and families and so on, so that people who have stayed here don't lose their faith in the country and keep hoping for the development and better future. We need people to who create families and who make children. The consequences of economically tough years also show a negative impact on population growth. For the last few decades, birth rate is much lower than death rate. And expert Ilmar Smesh, which we just saw in the report, says if the tension remains the same in 80 years, there will be only 10 to 20% ethnic Latvians in Latvia, and the structure of the society will change.
Yanis, thanks very much. There's Yanis Lysons, our correspondent, joining us there from Riga. You're watching Frostbank Cat. Do stay with us if you can.